The first thing I did was I Googled how to start an agency. Never worked for an agency, no degrees, no reason to start an agency. Like 2018, I think it was. If I went for a job interview for an agency for any job, they would have just been like, this guy's an idiot. Like, do not hire him. Red flag, get him out of here.
Super excited for this podcast episode with Dain Walker, the king of branding, who has his own branding agency, Rivyl. He has been on stage with the likes of Gary Vee, Stephen Bartlett. What's the thing that's coming up for you that you just want to express?
I'm in a season in business where there's copious amounts of change, both personally and in like professionally. But personally, I feel like when you stretch yourself to a certain point and you go beyond what you think is possible, I felt like I myself was getting drained. Business perspective is like, as your business continues to scale, I think you have to be adaptive and you can't stay in that headspace of I wish it was like it was. It's what you asked for, right? You ask for the success.
Damn, that's the chess match.
You gotta love the whole game.
Yeah.
If you don't love the whole game of business, you're really gonna hate the entire journey.
We are here in Sydney with a shout out to Damn Good Studios. This is Say It With Your Chest. Super excited for this podcast episode with Dain Walker, the king of branding, who has his own branding agency, Rivyl. He has been on stage with the likes of Gary Vee, Stephen Bartlett. He has built an enterprise and a team of 40. And this particular episode is about how he built such a culture, how he makes business fun, but most importantly, what leadership is to him and how to scale. I'm not talking scale. I'm talking actual big boss, say it with your chest, scale. So we're here today with Dain Walker. Hello.
Thanks so
Dain,
much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm so happy that you're here. Dain Walker with Say It With Your Chest. First rebrand of this, and I want to let you know, we want you to get it off your chest. What's the thing that's coming up for you that you just want to express?
Ooh, this is such an interesting place to start. I think right now I'll talk personal and then I'll talk business. Personally, I think that I'm in a season in business where there's copious amounts of change, both personally and in like professionally. But personally, I feel like when you stretch yourself to a certain point and you go beyond what you think is possible, you know, like late nights, early mornings, long copious amounts of like call marathons, I felt like I myself was getting drained by the sheer workload I was dealing with. I felt that just by getting into, I guess, as weird as or cliche as this sounds, like physical exercise, like just going for a run with a dog, going to the beach, you know, trying to actually sit down and like hang with my kids, and getting into the gym first thing in the morning. Like just when there's a tremendous amount of work, I think people tend to get stuck in their heads. And I think for me, what's helped me just kind of get past this like potential quote unquote burnout period is just like getting physical, getting into my body. The second part of this from a business perspective is like, as your business continues to scale and as you go from, you know, one size team to a larger team, or you go from one operating rhythm and how you kind of deal with the workflow to a new system and to a new team or to whatever's changing, I think you have to be adaptive and you can't stay in that headspace of I wish it was like it was. Right? Because typically what gets you to a certain level in business won't get you to the next stage. The way you tend to operate your business at the beginning isn't how you will operate it at the end. For me, I just think it's one of those stages in my life where I'm just constantly giving myself pep talks.
Yep.
That could be listening to music. That could be hitting the gym. I'm trying to find ways to interrupt the negative state that tends to creep up when you're in a hard season. But to get it off my chest, I think it's like one of those things where you're in business, it's what you asked for. Right? You ask for the success.
Damn, that's the chess match.
You ask for the car and the life and the dreams and the travel and we ask for these things. You know, signing up for business isn't about signing up for only the wins. The pep talk I've been having with myself is when you sign up for business, you sign up for the whole game, and you have to love the whole game.
Yeah.
You can't just love it when you're getting scores on the board. You have to love those points when you're losing, because they're the points where you're like, maybe I need to like adjust my playbook. Maybe I need to be in a different position. Maybe I need to like think about this differently, or, you know, work out on a different part of my business that'll give me a different perspective or some more leverage, you got to love the whole game.
Yeah.
And if you don't love the whole game of business, you're really going to hate the entire journey. I find by loving the good, the bad, the ugly, the fun, the tough, like if you can genuinely trick yourself or train yourself to find joy in all of it, it can be fun if you literally decide, as stupid as this sounds, like I'm making the decision on a hard day, like looking at my day-to-day, looking at 16 back-to-back meetings from like 5 a.m. to like 11 p.m. at night, is like, how do I make this fun?
Yes.
Like, how do I gamify the process?
Yes.
How do I find joy in it? How do I shift my perspective from I have to I get to? Just these little things instead of instead of staying in that frequency or that headspace where like, woe is me, I'm a victim, and shifting into I get to, this is a privilege, this is an honor, I asked for this is the part of the game where I'm down 2 scores on the board and my team are looking at me like, what is he going to do next? Just changing the ramifications of how things feel can really elevate your energy.
Yeah.
And you can pull energy from like finding fun in things. I think we tend to burn out. We tend to burn out when things are not fun.
Do you feel like you're in burnout now? Or?
No.
No. Yeah.
No, I had a season, like I'm pretty good at catching myself. Like, you know, when you're an athlete, or you might know an athlete and they get to a point where they're kind of overtraining.
Yeah.
Or they're not nourished enough or they're not resting enough. I think it's like being an athlete. I think burnout is like how to manage your capacity and then how to adjust yourself to not go beyond that, not to fall off the cliff and like get stuck in this spiral of like self-pity and self-loathing and frustration. I think I was right on the edge there for a couple of weeks, and I've interestingly looked back on it and only had lessons, only had growth, only had things to be grateful for. And also like a bit of like, I'm summoning energy. I'm not like going to let that shit happen again.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm like putting that energy into processes and protocols and training. So I'm like, okay, we're going to prevent this from happening again.
You have to go through it. It's like leveraging it when you're in the moment of it, right?
Some of the ugliest things that have ever happened to me in this business have been like some of the coolest motivational moments that have spurred into some of the best creativity that we've engineered into how we run and operate Rivyl.
And I want to talk about that. And I have to shout out to the team you've got here.
Thank you.
A shout out to Cam and Jess. The thing that I felt when I spoke to your team as well, it's the setting that I felt that I wanted to share and talk about. It's first virtually, I was speaking to your team, and meeting you today and having them come here, I've already felt this sense of like walking in and we're going to be mates, and you're like, come to the space we've got. But for when people walk into Rivyl, what's the feeling that people get when they come in, and what are you wanting to achieve with what you bring forward for that?
That's a great question. I think on any given day it can change.
Yeah.
And it's a pressure cooker. Like, we kind of joke that working for Rivyl is like a tornado. You either get sucked in to the chaos or you get spat out quickly. Like, people don't survive long at Rivyl if they don't feel like they immediately kind of click.
Yeah.
What I mean by that, it's a pretty intense space. And we get feedback all the time when people join the team. Usually the first thing they say to us is, holy shit, you guys do a lot and you do it quickly and this is insane. And we're like, what are you talking about? This is like a Monday. So I think the vibe we typically get is these guys love what they do.
Good.
There's an intensity. There's like a rawness. That there's like a almost like not a cocky bravado, but like a we know we're really dialed in and where we need to be. And there's a sense of like weird, quirky creativity. Like, you'll walk through the office and you'll see the weirdest artwork.
I really want to come.
Yeah, like
you're selling it to me. I'm like, I want to come.
Yeah, we've got like stuff we've picked up like from curbside that was like free that we've polished or repainted and like fixed into the office. It just does feel a little chaotic, but we wanted this space to feel like an extension of someone's home.
Beautiful.
We didn't want it to feel like you're coming to work, you're in an office. We wanted people to feel like this is a weird, kooky, creative, clever space that we get to just hang out, be sarcastic and crack jokes and like do cool shit with cool clients. Yeah.
People know you as the branding king, but I think where I want to sort of take this episode in is how you built the team and what were some of the things that Rivyl had to go through to be where you are now. Like, you've mentioned the difference between 1 or 2 years in business to now Like, fuck, man, you've got like, what, 50 people on your team or more?
Yeah, we're encroaching, I think, 40 at this point.
That's insane.
Probably with an ambition to have around, 50 thereabouts this time next year.
And so how did that journey start for you to start building this incredible place?
First and foremost, it wasn't planned. The way we built
What? You winged it?
Yeah, like I think this is the cool thing. There's that fantastic book, which is, it's like, what is it? Aim, Ready, Fire? Ready, Aim, Fire?
Yeah.
What is it?
I think it's Aim, Ready, Aim, Fire.
This up.
I've seen it. It's got like a
Fire, Ready, Aim or something. Sorry to the author. But yeah, I think it's, my mentality from the beginning was like, we're just going to go for it.
Yeah.
And it was almost like this notion of like, we're going to just jump off the cliff and figure out how to build a plane on the way down.
Yeah.
What I mean by this is at the beginning, it was me at an event with Gary Vee. He said that if you're frustrated and you want to start a business, just fucking start. And I was like, okay, like I got no money. I was $200,000 in debt. I was depressed. I hated my job. And I just knew it was like time for change.
Yeah.
And I decided on the drive home after this event where we met Gary, which was, hey, I'm going to start an agency. It literally just kind of fell out of my head. And, the gorgeous mother of my children, Ellie, was like, what do you mean? Like, what are we doing? I was like, I'm going to start a business. And she's like, when? I'm like, tonight. She's like, what is it? I'm like, it's an agency.
Thank
and
you,
she's
Gary.
like, okay. So we get home, I download Photoshop and I set up all this software and I just go to town. And the first thing I did was I Googled how to start an agency on YouTube. Like, I'm telling you, I had like never worked for an agency. I had, no degrees. I had no reason to start an agency. Like if I went for a job interview in 2018, I think it was. If I went for a job interview for an agency for any job, they would have just been like, this guy's an idiot. Like, do not hire him. Red flag, get him out of here. I literally Googled and YouTubed how to start an agency. Chris Do popped up, who's, become a mentor on my journey. And he basically had these online programs and courses on how to start an agency. And that was it. I like downloaded them, watched the content, wrote notes, and the next morning I made my first piece of content on Instagram. And I was making the decision at that point, hey, I'm going to teach what I was teaching and then document the journey. Because Gary Vee was all about, hey, document and teach what you do as you do it. So I just made the decision, and I think this is an important distinction for anyone listening, is that if you decide you want to build a business, people get terrified because they feel like they have to become an immediate expert. They're afraid if they turn the camera on and they start making content that they have to proclaim that they're an expert. They have to take that position. And that can terrify and chokehold people because then they decide to wait until they've been validated by a third party or their friend says go for it or what have you. But I would challenge people to instead think about themselves as an enthusiast. Like, how do I just become someone who's excited to just turn the camera on and like share what mistakes are happening as I'm doing them? So anyways, I started sharing content daily, and then I start getting inquiries. I start getting customers, and the first few customers were like $50 jobs for like a teeth whitening brand that wanted some posters.
How cool.
And then I would get I remember quoting a logo for $350, and the guy never paid me, but I designed it and I liked it and he hated it, and that was fine. Like it was just me messing about essentially. But then I started to get a knack for the content. Yeah. Then the money started coming in because people were like, hey, help me make content like you make content. Fast forward a little bit, I had like 40 odd, retainer-based clients that I would make content for myself.
It was just you.
Just me.
Shit.
And my like Mac every month.
Did you see?
It was brutal.
Burnout.
There was periods where I would work like 48 hours in a row with like little naps just to get the content across to the customer on time. Just to then 4 hours later get an email back saying they don't like it and have to design it again. So like I went through all this stuff at the beginning. But what happened was I had a DM from a guy named Carlos, and Carlos still works here at Rivyl today.
Really?
And he said, yo, dude, your website sucks. Can I write better copy? And I was like, go for it.
Yeah.
He wrote the copy. He emailed it to me. And then I just ignored it, forgot about the email because I was busy or whatever. Like 2 weeks later, he's like, dude, like, I sent you the copy. Why isn't it uploaded yet? And I just sent an email back. Bro, I don't know how to like even log into my website. I suck at tech. Like, can you help me do it? He's like, sure, I'll do it. A couple weeks later, he ended up working at Rivyl as a volunteer. He gets paid now, don't worry. And he now runs all of our marketing.
That's awesome.
So he kind of like self-recruited himself into the company, and then I just felt bad, so I started paying him.
Thank you, Carlos.
Yeah, but originally the agency was like me on a Zoom call with Carlos, and we would meet in the morning. We would like pep talk the day, then we get to work, come back at the end of the day, close the day, and then wrap it up. My, beautiful partner Ellie, she was doing all the accounting and the bookkeeping and the tax and payroll and all the rest of it. And then we started hiring people. But because it was during that part of the year, which we can't say on YouTube because we get banned if we use the word, that period by which the world shut down, we...
like Voldemort.
Yeah, we can't say that word. We had like a dedicated Zoom channel. So what would happen is our team would log in to Zoom in the morning, and we had like these breakout channels. So it was kind of like a virtual office.
Yeah.
So we would all hang out on Zoom all day, and then we would just chit chat back and forth as we were working, which was great because then the clients would come into that channel and they're like, "Where am I?" I'm like, "You're in the Rivalverse. Like, you can go on that channel and chat to the design team. You can go onto that channel and chat to the dev team." We had these little channels, a little virtual workplace. And the team loved it, and we created culture and jokes and antics, and we had gaming nights, and people would drink in the evening as they would knock off, and people would be literally on our Zoom call until like 1 a.m.
Wow.
They would finish their work and then they would just hang while they were doing other freelancing stuff or whatever. It just got to the point where the team was so significant. We had so many clients. It just kind of became ridiculous. And we were like, we need a physical space. We need to get out of our bedrooms and we need to get together. But that was about 4 years ago. We moved into like a WeWork space, kind of like where we are today. And then we, a year later, moved into the Rivyl office, which is ironically on Walker Street. It's not about my ego. We just happened to...
It's perfect.
We just happened to choose it because it was cool. But yeah, we've been there for a couple of years, and the team just continued to scale. But we went through our ups and downs. We went through great seasons and tough seasons like any business, but yeah.
And what was the biggest lesson for yourself when you've gotten to the place you are now to reflect on, go, wow, I did this thing and it's gotten me to here? The lessons that were the biggest part of what you were sharing before, building the team and building that culture.
I think what I tend to hear back from people around this question, which is like what got us here, like what really put us in the position that we're in now. The feedback I often get from loved ones and friends is that I have this unruly willingness to just not take no for an answer. As obnoxious as that sounds, I think stubbornness is like really a powerful gift in business. It really is. Yeah. Like I remember having meetings with my team, and they would just blatantly say to me, "Dude, we can't do that in that timeline with that amount of work." I'm like, "Yeah, we can." They're like, "Dude, no, you're not the one doing the work, Dain. Like, it's not possible." And I'm like, if we had to, how would we do it? And I loved asking that question. My team hates that question, which is if we had to, how would we do it? So I think this like stubbornness or this like brutal optimism, which was like sitting with that question, if we had to, how would we do it? And this frustrates people to no end in the company.
They know you're right though.
Yeah, but like now it's like embraced. But I think what got us here was like sitting down as a team and just going, if we had to, like, what are the options? And we just claw at the problem for like sometimes weeks until someone's like, I got an idea.
That's awesome.
And then they kind of, like a mad scientist, like sketch it on the whiteboard, and then one person's like, I got another idea for that idea.
I love mind mapping sessions like that.
Mind mapping sessions. And like, I think here's the potential risk though, is like you can't live in the mind map. You have to immediately get into action. So like a big rule is what we call mud mapping. So
what was it?
Mud mapping.
Mud mapping.
So we have a phrase at Rivyl, and we call it mud mapping, which means like, okay, let's say you have a problem in the business. It could be anything. Let's say you have a social media problem, like we don't know how to come up with a social media strategy, which is something a lot of businesses deal with. Mud mapping is, okay, let's whiteboard, like, what's the fastest, sloppiest, dirtiest, like, weirdest way we could just get into the market and just start the process.
I love that.
And then we whiteboard it, and then we write it down on, like, literally a napkin or, like, a document, and then we just get to work.
Yeah.
Like, we don't wait to formalize it or have multiple meetings. Like, we really try to get the team into immediate action. And it's like, in that immediate action, you learn all these things you would not have otherwise learned by doing more planning. Entrepreneurs overplan their business to death. And
I agree.
We see this all the time. We have meetings with people for like months. I've had clients have meetings for 2 years where it's like, guys, we got to get into the action and we got to make it happen.
Yeah.
So mud mapping is just like, how do we go from idea to action as fast as humanly possible?
Yeah.
And then as you start to drive and follow the mud map, you know how like, let's just say you're at an event and you're like, hey, how do I drive here pre Google Maps? Your friend would get a napkin and there would be like 2 lefts, go around the roundabout, take
That's
a
when
right.
the books were the directory in the car.
And if you see the flamingo on the front yard, you've gone too far. Like, remember that?
Yeah.
So like mud mapping is like, just get the roughest sketch and go. And that's how I started this whole business, which was like, just get content, go. Oh, I get more clients. Just serve those clients, go. Like another one is like, I remember the first time someone said to me, hey, can you build websites? And I was like, well, what's your budget for a website? And they're like, oh, we got a budget. It's like 30 grand for a website. I was like, sure, I can do a website. I've never done a website before. 30 grand, yeah, no problem.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Figure it
sold
out.
it. They paid the invoice. Sit down with Carlos. I'm like, fuck, like, how do we build websites, man? And he's like, we'll figure it out. This is pre-ChatGPT, pre-AI. So you had to actually like go out and figure it out. So much of what got us here was just having a swing, mud mapping it, having a go. Not to freak anyone out who wants to work with us now, we've got systems for everything. But when you first build a business, like it's ugly. It shouldn't be this perfect procedural process. Like every startup is ugly and most startups have no idea what they're trying to do until something sticks and then they start to figure out a rhythm. And sometimes it can take months or years. Yeah.
It's so cool. Like when we obviously were organizing you on the podcast. I'm like, fuck, I'm about to go through a rebrand. He's going to judge the process, the system, how I planned it. But it literally has been a figure it out along the way. And it's the same thing that you've done when it comes to building the team and everything that you've believed in. How about with hiring and building that rival culture? That would have been, and I've had some teething problems with hiring lately. I'm working with my partner in the business. We nearly broke up, but we found this beautiful, this synergy and energy right now.
Yeah.
But for you to have, is there a resume process? Like, how do you hire for Rivyl and keep that culture growing?
Yeah, and the culture's gone through phases, right? So, like, I think it depends on what stage you're at in business. So, like, if you're at startup stage, I think it's purely built on vision. Like, if you're at the very, very genesis of your idea, and you're trying to go to market or you're trying to build tech or you're trying to, get something that works and you're struggling to monetize, I think those people around you at that stage really need to buy into vision. Yeah. Because what happens is either you're hiring people that are really cheap that aren't that great, or you're hiring people that are like exceptionally talented and like are probably taking a pay cut to come on the journey. And I think at the beginning, vision is super, super, super critical. It gets to the point where you're then monetized and you're effective that you then need additional people on a team that are more managerial. They buy into the vision, but they're like, hey, how do we optimize, right? So the first stage of Rivyl was just purely people that love the vision, people that vibe with me, people that kind of were quirky and weird.
Which I feel like everyone would. You're such a vibe.
I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. But then there was a stage where it got to like 12 people, where you can spend time with 12 people, but then we springboarded to 24. It's hard to spend quality time with 24 people.
Yeah, that would have been.
That's when we started to implement processes and procedures, and we tried to avoid bureaucracy, but we definitely needed to systemize things. Yeah. Which caused friction. Some people were like, oh, but I used to be able to vibe out with Dain all the time, and now I have to follow this procedure and go through this manager and all this extra.
Was that hard for you as well?
It was tough for me. Yeah. I love my team.
Yeah.
And it's tough for them because it's like that season of their life is changing or ending or what have you. And it's like, but like people mature and they become comfortable with that, and then they find a way to make it work. Yeah. But there's times where people just can't wrap their head around it, and that's okay. But we have a rule which is like, if someone's going to leave this company, we want them to leave better.
That's beautiful.
So if you're going to leave up and out. Don't leave laterally or down. Like, we want them to get a better job or better opportunity if they so choose. And that's happened. People have like left and become like CMO of Cotton On, or left and become like musicians or what have you. Like, we really want to send people up in the world. As far as like recent times, it's become like, how would you say, we're entering more of a commercial era where we're talking to banks. We're talking to like big enterprise companies that have like substantial marketing budgets that require like a very methodical acumen. Like you can't just roll in on a skateboard and be like, "Sup guys, we're gonna rebrand." Like, and they're like, "We're a bank," you know. You have to bring.
Congratulations, by the way. Are you not like, wow?
Yeah, it's a bit of an oh shit moment for me, I think, at this point. But genuinely, I think A is like you gotta genuinely love what you do. You have to have people in the team that love what they do. But the moment that stops, the moment someone's there grinding and they're not happy, it's like. It's best for them to not be there anyway. Yeah. And it's okay if they leave. It's not it's not the end of the world.
I think what you said before, the growth you're going through now and the level of clienteles you're bringing in, right? There must have been some level of like internal leadership that you had to be different, or I guess now expand in this capacity for you. What has been the thing that you've had to work on to be that visionary still, yes, but also have this capacity to hold? Because that would be fucking scary.
Oh yeah,
I would be like, wow, that's intense. Like that's amazing.
Yeah,
there's
been the moments like at the beginning it was I really had to focus on being a visionary. Like I had to get the team pumped. I had to be the hype man. I had to spend my time just getting people like excited and focused. Then the team started to scale from 12 to 24. I had to be kind of the visionary, but also I had to be the implementer. I had to create frameworks. I had to create structure. I had to kind of champion the structure and usher people into it and then train them on those systems. Then I had to spend a lot of time on training. And then the culture went like crazy. So then we had to focus on, HR and procedures and policies and like rules and regulations and things you can't say in the workplace. Like, and so then I had to get good at all of that stuff. And then you figure out that now there's all these intricate systems that are interwoven. Then you have to get good at leadership, and you have to lead people to lead the people. We're at a stage now where we're trying to get into that larger state, and I think what I've found is like in the past 3 years, I've gone from delegating, the financials to my beautiful fiance to like having a CFO and like crawling through spreadsheets and getting good at numbers. And I hate numbers. I hate spreadsheets. I hate maths and financials and, budgets. I hate having a budget. But like these are all things that you just have to adapt to as an entrepreneur. But I'll give you the biggest takeaways from this process.
Yes.
So the big key metrics, if I were to distill it down to three, the three things I had to get great at as an entrepreneur, one is cash flow. So cash flow, as simplistic as it sounds, you want to create the least amount of stress possible as a founder. So if you're running your operation cash flow wise week to week, that sucks. Yes. Like you're not going to be in a fun, creative, vibed out cultural place. Yeah. It's going to be red alert. It's going to be Delta 6, Delta 7. It's going to be DEFCON 7. Whatever those military terms are. But it's going to be rough. So cash flow is like the lifeblood of a business. Yeah. So Michael Janda, one of my coaches, trained me on this. He goes, okay, let's say you have 1 month's worth of money in the war chest, and then once you run out, that's it, kaput. Like you're bankrupt. He's like, how do you create the war chest to be 3 months, then 6 months, then 9 months, then 12 months? So playing this game of like increasing the lifeblood, not focusing on the amount of like, oh my God, like I've seen 10 grand in my bank for the first time. Focus less on the money and focus more on like, how long is it going to last for? And if you can create the length of time that makes you feel comfortable, and that might be different for everyone. Some people are comfortable with a week for some reason. I try to keep my cash flow buffer at like at least 6 months. Yeah, that's good. And this is the rule. How do I have enough money buffer in the business for at least 6 months in the event we have no customers? So that runway in the back of your mind creates some sense of security to like get clever and know you've got time to get out of a tricky situation. So if you're living on 3 days right now, try and get it to a week. And if you're in a week, get it to 2 weeks. If you're 2 weeks, get it to 2 months. Just play the game of extending that period. That's number one, cash flow. And make it fun. Make it fun. You gotta make it fun. You make it a game. Literally, like have one of those like thermometers on the wall of like we're at 2 months. Yeah, like celebrate that.
My partner's loving this. He would love this right now. He goes,
you have to do this. I hate numbers. I hate this stuff. But like when
I'm like spender. I'm like, wee.
No, you can't spend like crazy. You can't do that. So I'm a sucker. Like I would be like, yeah, I need to go buy 50 black shirts from Uniqlo immediately because I have to. Like stupid stuff like that. So this is the second rule to that point. The second rule is treat the business's money like it is the business's money. Mm-hmm. So you have lifeblood, right? You have survival time. 2 is like, okay, how do I make sure that I respect the company's money? So don't treat your company like your piggy bank.
So good.
This is dangerous territory.
Yeah.
And I know I get it. It's fun at the start. You're like, oh, endless money. No, like you have to go, my bank account is my bank account. The business's bank account is the business's bank account. You have to like almost like spiritually separate yourself to go, I am in service of this company. When I shifted gears from going, okay, like it's my money to, no, Rival's this separate beast and I have to serve this beast and I want to like grow it and tame it. And like, I don't want this gross like manky tiger that is like unable to like have enough nutrition to survive. Like I want to make sure I have a healthy beast of a business. So I need to make sure it has consistent clients. I need to make sure it's serviced. I need to make sure it's operating on a rhythm. Don't treat your business like your own personal bank account. It's dangerous.
That's beautiful.
Separate it. Like make sure you're acting in service of the business. And sometimes that means, you take a pay cut for a season.
Yeah.
What's in service of the business is the singular highest priority. When you can really start to play that game, you're going to see your business do a lot better. The third thing is businesses should never stay stagnant. So a lot of founders get to a point and they try to create an equilibrium in their business. They're like, oh my gosh, we just got to $50,000 months. How do we stay here?
Yeah.
That's a very dangerous place to exist as a founder, is to try to keep the status quo. Like, I don't want to hire more team. We don't want to run more ads. We're just happy with that 50. The danger with this is businesses don't exist at an equilibrium. They're either growing and scaling or dying, period. You cannot plateau a business no matter what market you're in. Your market's going to get tanked at some point and flip and evolve and change. And, the markets is like a living organism. So when you understand the notion that businesses are either growing or dying, you realize that, okay, as a founder, at what point am I going to top out? Don't strangle your business because you are uncomfortable to go beyond a certain point. If it's a time in your business where you need to sell it or someone else needs to come in and take over, like act in service of the business. But the third thing is understand that you're constantly scaling. The market's constantly changing, which if you put an umbrella over these 3 lessons, it's like change is inevitable. And you have to remind yourself that the business isn't there to serve you. You're there to serve the business. And this is contrarian advice because most people start a business to serve their lifestyle. But what happens is when you act in service of the business, it's going to serve your lifestyle. But you just have to make that switch because your team will be happier for it. The customers will be happier for it. The culture will be better because of it. But when you act in service of the business as a founder, that's like your job. You're the shepherd. Your job is to keep the sheep safe. Your job is to make sure the paddock is, is full of nutrients for everything that kind of operates within the compound of what that business is.
Oh, I just think my partner's going to be listening to this. And I told you, honey. It's so true, though. Like we went through, it's funny, I'm the visionary. And when I'm the visionary, I just go, I'll figure it out. But I think there's this element of personal development that comes into leadership, into business, that if you treat it like something that is of your own and of service, like a relationship too, you want to love it, you want to care for it. But doing, stupid, silly things is going to detriment it. And the scaling mindset for what you shared, it's more about the growth mindset, an element of that as well, which I'm curious to find out around the mentors you've worked, which I think you've got already so many. What's been the worst or the overrated advice you've received?
Oh, that's a great question.
So many business owners probably fall for the trap on.
Yeah, I had a previous accountant who I won't name, but I remember them looking at my books, and we have the agency podcast, which is doing fantastic, and shout out to Cam, who's here, who's the co-founder of the podcast and
awesome.
has contributed like so much value to what that's become. And we had an accountant. I don't know if Cam knows this, but he sat down and he pulled up a spreadsheet and he's like, dude, like you're putting a tremendous amount of marketing and money into growing this podcast. I'm like, yeah. He's like, dude, like, should you not have like put this into like other things and like growth and all the rest of it? He was coming from a place of like preservation because he was like, okay, I can see you're bleeding out money here. And I just remember having arguments about this. And I was like, no, like this is the future, man. Like podcasting, producing media. I can't really calculate the ROAS, if you will, or
it's a hard one too, right?
Return on ad spend. And I just knew it was working.
Yeah.
And I knew it was going somewhere and it felt right and it felt good. And the new accountant came in and he's like, dude, this is sick. This is about to blow. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, I think you need to make sure you have people that can advise you, but that actually understand your vision.
Yeah.
The biggest risk you have is getting a consultant or an advisor that does the song and dance, but you can tell they don't fully believe your crazy vision.
Yeah.
And I've had consultants in the past that have gotten in and we've worked together and I'm like sharing my vision and like, this is great, but like,
there's no but.
Yeah, but like we work with hundreds of entrepreneurs and they have advisors that are like, this is all good and well, but we got to wait, or but this, or but that. When you have an advisor that's like, all right, cool, like, let's figure out how.
Love that.
If that's their first reaction, and it might not be immediately, but their reaction is like, okay, cool, I'm with you. Like, let's figure out how. Let's start this process in X time. Not someone who parks it, but someone who entertains how do we thread that into the business. But yeah, don't get a shitty accountant.
Yeah. Like, love
Oh,
this.
the other thing as well is like the new accountant was like, yo, you could have had a couple extra million in your business had you just done R&D for the last 2 years. And I was like, what's R&D?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So the old accountant just didn't hook me up with R&D.
Don't worry, we've had issues with that. Like, what?
Yeah, for those listening to me that think I'm an idiot, like I learned about R&D like this year.
What is R&D?
So research and development. So you can get money back from the government if you have componentry in your business that is like researching and developing new technologies and new ways of doing things.
I just learned something.
Yeah, and so my new accountant was like, yeah, you could have a lot more money had you just had a better accountant. So yeah, get a good accountant.
Get a good accountant.
Yeah.
I'm going to get into some fun stuff soon, but if you were to restart the agency with $1,000 in your hand, what would you do with it? What would be the process? What would you change?
If I could go back in time with an extra $1,000, honestly, like as crazy as this sounds, I would have hired someone like immediately.
Why?
I waited too long to put a team together. And I know this is scary for some people, but if I had $1,000, I would have like immediately tried to find someone like in Bangladesh or the Philippines or India or something to help me at the beginning. I would have immediately put a team together. And I know this sounds crazy, but I made good money at the start and I was blowing it on stuff like, cool clothes and like, going out for lunch and breakfast. I would have just put a team together sooner. Like I waited too long.
Yeah.
And this is a big one for people because they're afraid that if they hire someone, it's game over. Like they're like, oh, what happens if like I can't pay them? It's like, cool, fire them.
Figure it out. Yeah. Okay, true.
But just here's how you take the edge off. Like when you're hiring someone and you don't know if it's going to work out, just tell them, hey, I don't know if this is going to work out. I might only be able to pay you for 2 weeks. Is that okay with you? Yeah. Let's figure it out. But like, if you can bring value in and help me find customers, I'll make sure I pay you.
Yeah.
And like, that's what I did at the beginning, and people came in and were okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I just think like so many people are afraid to team up.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too, because it's the cost of it not working, the cash flow as well. But I think it's, as you said, it's like you're wanting to have that extra support and hire smart and fire.
Yeah, but think about how much like people spend money on stupid shit. Like,
that was me at my business.
Dude,
business class, all the things.
No, I like, and again, I'm not making fun of anyone who does this. I totally get it. Like you're like, okay, we're making it business class for me. Like, hell yeah. But I want to stress this point. So I hope he doesn't mind this, but so Simon Beard, who started Culture Kings, he at one of the pinnacle moments of Culture Kings, the company's doing 150 mil. He was paying himself 150 grand, and he gave away a Lamborghini before he owned one. Like gave it away as a competition. Imagine that. Imagine owning Culture Kings and you run a competition on your website and you're like, every X amount of, spend on the website gets you a ticket to win a Lamborghini. And you hand the keys to this 23-year-old kid who bought a couple snapbacks. And you're like, I built this empire and I'm giving this guy a Lamborghini, which was his dream car at the time.
That's patience, though. Patience.
Right? Yeah. This is so important in business. Why? Because I've worked with founders who have in their first, literal first 2 weeks had e-com site that popped off and they made a couple $100,000 in their first weekends. And then they just went and bought a Land Rover and went and bought a house. And I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes, guys. You can't just go treat this like you've won the lottery.
Yeah.
If your business is popping off, you have to figure out, how do I amplify the energy I'm dealing with right now? If we've just put 10 grand into this system and it spat out this reaction, don't take cream off the top and run away with it and go spend it on holidays and stuff. How do you take that and go, whoa, look what we did with 10 grand. What happens if we put 100 back in?
Yeah.
And if you can compound that energy and cycle it back in and act in best service of the business, at least for the first couple years, what you'll find is you'll have built a monster.
Yeah.
Versus, you could look back and go, well, yeah, the holidays and all this cool stuff. If that's how you want to roll, that's fine. But I've seen so many businesses have a tough season, 2 or 3 years in, where had they just had a war chest or had they just not done the things that they did, they could have had the financial wherewithal to get through a tough season, either by getting consultants, expanding their team, doubling their market spend. People just run businesses without having a buffer. Yeah. You got to have some space to create opportunity for yourself in a tough time.
We want a healthy tiger, not a sad, sick tiger.
Yeah, but again, this is my opinion. Yeah. But I just think that
it's true though. It's true.
Too many founders spend their money too quickly.
This was me a couple of years ago. Where we're all good
I
now.
did it for a little bit, and then I was like, sorry. I gotta reinvest. Yeah, and I did treat my business like a piggy bank at that point. And but yeah, cutting those 3 things off really helped.
What I want to do is take you in a journey. If you were to tell me in the next 12 months, we're back here, we're having a conversation. What are you celebrating with the team? What are you announcing? Paint the picture for me.
How much do you want to talk about right now?
Go nuts.
God. There's some stuff where I can't really fully divulge yet, but we're about to go through a season over the next year where we're probably going to 10x our business.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. And this is dead serious. We're putting a team together. We're investing a substantial amount of money. And I want to make this clear. I want to make a point here. I've had the option to obviously go buy a nice car, go buy a house, have stocks or invest in other businesses. But I've just put everything back into this business. And the next play is a monumental play for us because we're starting to get global attention. We're starting to get a lot of traction in different spaces. And rather than going, we're killing it, go for us, we're what's the next playbook? And this can sound selfish, but I'm okay, cool. Everything's kind of humming and going in such a great direction. How do we roll the dice into the next play for us? And that's involving technology. It's involving a community. And it's allowing us to 10x our business and our revenue without 10xing our team. Which also gives us the ability to do some really cool stuff with the team we have and give them, better opportunities as well. So we're trying to do more with a slightly larger team.
But
I hope when we come back in a year,
I'm hoping.
We launched this went crazy, this failed miserably, but then we learned a lesson and then we circled back and we won.
And I'll be on stage and we're having donuts or glasses of red wine, I don't know, and the team celebrate. That's fucking epic, 10xing it. Yeah. Now, before we go into a bit of rapid fire, the last final piece to your say it with your chest moment. I know you've had so many beautiful downloads of that, but just that one thing for these leaders that are very much wanting to be on the same path as you, the same trajectory, want to build an agency, want to have the culture, but have the fun. What's your last moment that you want to just say it with your chest?
Just fucking start. Gary said it to me like that. I think that, man, entrepreneurs, we have a tendency to overthink things. And we also have a tendency to have these big, bold, grand visions that we try to share with others really quickly, just to have them go, hey, just make sure. And then you get the buts, and then you get the inclusive, red tape. And it's almost like people are trying to wrap your idea and bring it back down to reality. I think what you need to do as a founder is you need to be like delusionally optimistic. And it can be counterintuitive to a numbers person, but like you need to be so optimistic that you can kind of get high on your own supply, but you have to follow that up with action.
Yeah.
Like you have to be radically optimistic, like this, like imagine if this happens, and then you have to reverse engineer that back to like what's the energy, what's the activity that's going to lead us to that. So if you're putting all your energy into outcome, that's dangerous. If you're putting all your energy into activity with no outcome in mind, that's also dangerous. You need to have this entire framework around like, okay, we want to get to this radical position in a year from now. So let me give you an example. So if I were to say my radical vision right now, it's how do I own a 3-story building? One level's an auditorium / a gym, one level's a working floor and a team, and one level's a media studio where we can film and produce not just my show, but copious amounts of other people's shows. I want to own the building, and I want to have a team of about maybe 350 people, and we want to become a brand accelerator for global brands. We want to work with F1, Nike, the greatest, coolest, up-and-coming, big stuff in the world. I've shared this with people, and they're like, dude, that's ridiculous.
No way.
I know, but hear me out. Hear me out. People hear that, and they're like, I've shared this with so many people, and you can just tell, even though they're like, that's great, there's a part of them that you can tell isn't like fully wholeheartedly believing it, but you just can't give a fuck. You have to be like, no, that's what I want. Mm-hmm. Like you have to wake up and go, that's exactly what I fucking want. I'm definitely going to build it. But then you come back to the action and it's like, okay, like right now, like how do we scale the team from like 40 to like 50? That's the next step. I know that the end destination is crazy, but I know that also in the next like season of the business, we have to jump into the next step. But to say it with my chest, I just think that, yeah, you have to be radically and delusionally optimistic. You have to back it up with some serious fucking massive levels of action. Like you have to get to work. It's going to be hard. You're going to have to work your face off. You have to serve your business. You have to make sure you've built a war chest, and you have to make sure that you're acting in service of your organization, your team, others around you. And in the short term, you can't just splurge. You can't go crazy. If you can like bundle that all up into one thing, it's a mixture of like, excitement, grit, and also like just stubbornness, just like the ability to literally not give a fuck what anyone thinks.
Yes.
You have to have that. Like the best entrepreneurs don't give a fuck what anyone thinks, and that's why they get where they want. I
feel like we need that.
Yeah.
That
felt like it was from here. Yeah.
That was perfect. Yeah. Thank you. And meeting Gary V, before we get into your rapid, how was that? Was he fucking cool?
He's fucking cool. Yeah, Gary's a real deal. Like you
can tell though.
Down to earth. He's extremely generous. He genuinely wants to help people. Like he finds this shit super fun.
But you can tell, and that's like the same energy I see in you. You want to help people, and he has the same.
Yeah, he connects with people.
Yeah.
And the best part about Gary is he has the ability to cut through your bullshit like really fucking quick. Like his ability to be candid and caring at the same time is really unique. A lot of people pretend to be the Gary V character. And I've been on stages with like big names and...
Like who?
I'm not going to name names, but I've been on stages with like some of the highest performing speakers on the planet that have the biggest podcasts and everything else. And Gary is like legit the real deal.
That's awesome.
The other one was Stephen Bartlett. Like he's like legit that guy.
I was so sad I missed his event here.
Yeah, same. I missed it here, but I get to.
But you got to. I know. Sorry.
But yeah, Gary's a real deal.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I see that in you too, legend. So
thanks.
Honestly, you're a sick person. Let's do the rapid.
Yes.
Before we wrap this burrito up.
Yep.
Ready for spaghetti?
I'm ready spaghetti. Arms are sweaty.
Gotta find it.
Sweater on my spaghetti already. Yeah.
All right. I've lost my spot. Okay. So, ready, set, scaling an agency with a big team versus staying boutique.
Yeah. Okay. Scaling an agency with a really big team versus going bespoke.
Yeah.
Oh man, personally, my opinion is like go big or go home. Like that's just me. Like I think that it's cute to have a little bespoke agency, but I want to have big impact and I want to
that.
make big money and I want to do big shit. So I had to go big. I had to go big team.
Founders becoming the face of their brand versus staying behind the scenes.
Yeah, this is a great question. I think, if you're thinking about becoming a founder that's like the face of your business versus staying behind the scenes, you can play both. I think you genuinely, if you want to become the face of your brand, you have to find a way to love it. If you don't genuinely enjoy being the face of your brand or company, don't do it. Like, really don't, because it's just going to be painful. You're going to find every excuse under the sun to roadblock the living daylights out of yourself. You have to find a way to love it. However, if I could suggest, I think if you're trying to be a founder of a company right now at its early stages to SMB, you should most likely make that leap to become the founder that makes the content in front of your business. Why? Because the companies right now that crush media are growing their business the fastest. So if you ask yourself this question, how fast do I want my business to scale? And if your answer is, I want to be as fast as some of the biggest up and coming brands. Okay, cool. Question number 2 is, how much money do you want to make? I want to make a ton of money. If you answer those 2 questions, become the face of your brand. Period. Like, if you want to win and make the most money, the people that are winning and making the most money right now are founders who are building companies and are telling the stories of what those companies are doing as they're doing them. The ones that refuse to do that are just getting crushed and pulverized because what are your choices? You can run ads that are like a declining thing right now in most cases. You can try to do cold calling or a letterbox dropper or referral-based business. Like, what even is that? I think if you want to win, you gotta just really understand that that's the market. Like, when SEO was the thing, you had to play SEO. When Google Ads became the thing, you had to do it. When Meta Ads became the thing, you had to do it. Now, the business owners that decide, okay, founder-led branding is like the next thing, stop hesitating. Don't wait another year or 2 or 3. We're going to be on to the next thing by then. Like, when the marketing season shifts, get in early, and the early game right now is founder-led content. I'd argue it's kind of at almost scale, but like, if you want to grow, if you want to win, you have to do it.
Love that.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, hiring fast to fuel growth versus hiring slow for culture fit.
Ooh, that's a good question. Hiring fast for fast growth or hiring slow for good cultural fit? Hire slow for good culture fit.
Why?
Yeah. I think if you hire too fast, if you damage your culture, that can be the demise of a business pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe this. I learned this from Cohen Ray. He said it takes about 3 months to establish a healthy culture in a business and about 3 days to destroy it. He's right. I've seen this happen, and I know how palpable this is. You have to make the right maneuvers with the right people. Otherwise, you could do some serious damage to your business that will set you back months.
It's a very good response. Bless you, Cohen. I've lost my spot. Okay, putting on the CEO on every piece of content versus building a team-led content strategy.
Oh, that's a great question. Putting on the CEO on all the content, or if you're trying to think about, do I make all the content myself as the CEO, or do I try to encourage and convince my team to make content with me as a crew? Do it as a crew. I think why? Because you're adding different lenses and perspectives to how you build your content. Like, for example, at Rivyl, we have a production team for the podcast and people want to learn about that, but I don't have the bandwidth to teach that. We have a graphic, we have like a creative director of design, and they have their own perspective on brand building. So I think what we've decided in a new era of Rivyl is, how do we bring these characters into like a Marvel cast or like a Friends cast, where like there's all these different lenses, all these different characters with all these different perspectives that can add measure and depth to a brand. Stephen Bartlett is doing this with his team. So there's certain key members of Stephen Bartlett's team that are building their own personal brands to add these different perspectives. So like Cam, for example, is obsessed with Stephen Bartlett's producers.
Yeah,
and he's trying to learn from them. He's like, how do I become a producer at that level?
Yeah.
I'm looking at Stephen because I'm like, how does he operate as a founder at that level?
Yeah.
So by having different team members as different facets of your business allows you to have different reasons that people would subscribe to the overall cast, right? So like if you have a movie with one character, it's interesting. But if you have a movie with a cast of people that are a conglomerate or on a mission together, each character will speak to each audience member differently. So you're adding a larger, more engaged audience to your brand if you can find a way to have your team make content with you.
You're a Marvel person, aren't you?
No.
Oh, okay. All right, last question.
I'm a DC guy, but you can ask Marvel questions. All good, sorry.
That's okay. Last one. Agencies niching down hard versus staying broad to catch more clients.
Oh, this is a tricky one. Should you niche down or should you get broad? I think it's more nuanced than that. And I think that businesses have seasons. So let's use an example. Myself, right? Like, so at the beginning, I was seen as the Instagram guy. I remember getting, onto podcasts, and the way they would introduce me is like, hey, what's up for our listeners out there? We've got Dain, the Instagram guy, on the pod. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to be the Instagram guy. This sucks. And they would just ask me questions about Instagram. I'm like, man, I'm building a brand agency, and they're asking questions about Instagram. Like, but I had to ask myself the question, why is this happening? I scrolled through my Instagram. Every post said, like, Instagram this, Instagram that, Instagram this, Instagram that. And I was like, oh, I'm positioning myself in the wrong place. So I was niching down too hard, and that was inhibiting my opportunities. But then on the other side of the spectrum, if I was too broad and I was talking about sales and psychology and health and well-being and high performance and burnout, it's too much. It's too wide. So you have to find this equilibrium where you're like, okay, like, I'm not so niche that I'm like pigeonholing myself, but I'm not so broad that I'm like trying to do it all. I'm in the Goldilocks zone. So this is the Goldilocks zone. And I think this is where people seriously need to think is like, if I'm trying to build a business and I go too niche, I'm getting pigeonholed and I'm blocking out other opportunities. If I go too broad, people won't buy from me because they don't know what the fuck I do. Yeah. The Goldilocks zone is like, okay, I'm niche enough that I'm seen as someone who can dominate a sector, but I'm not so broad that I don't seem to have an edge. So for me at the beginning was like, I build brands, like, and that's ambiguous, but it's also specific enough. It's in the Goldilocks zone. You go a layer deeper than that, and it's like, we focus on entrepreneurs who like to take big, bold risks.
Love that.
So then you add a niche context over a broad topic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So rather than niching into a product, you should niche your message.
I was thinking that. That's,
right?
Yeah.
So rather than niching, like, we dominate, we make content for like
my clients are gonna be
bricklayers. So you're like, hey, we're a branding agency and we make sick content. And we focus on entrepreneurs that have a tendency to want to be big, bold, and brash. You're just giving yourself enough niche, but also enough space to have more opportunity.
I think when people have smaller accounts, they think they have to, maybe.
No.
Yeah.
I think there's a danger in running a niche because what happens is like, markets shift and evolve. Like, I had a conversation at the gym the other day, and the guy comes up to me and he says, hey, I run an agency. I seen you're on the podcast. You're the Dain guy, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, hey, I have a question for you. I make social media content for real estate agents. I was like, great. Anyone else? He's like, no. And I'm like, how are you finding it? He's like, man, real estate agents are like, it's kind of brutal, if I'm going to be honest with you. And I was like, why have you niched down so much? And he said, oh, I know I need to have one, and I just picked this one because I thought they had money. And I was like, dude, most real estate agents blow all their money on their car and their watch and their suits. And they have like little to no, like, they're living in debt.
The cash flow there is not there. I
was like, dude, you need to like seriously like broaden your horizons. So like, there's no problem having a cohort of real estate agents. Yeah. But here's the remedy. So when a client's talking to you and they're asking you this question, and this is the question that you probably hate, which is, have you ever worked in my industry before?
How did you know?
You need to have a reply to that, which is like, yeah, of course. Like, I've got like portfolios and case studies of that. But what's more important to me is like, how do I help you as a founder, and what's your problem right now?
Good.
Because if you focus on the niche, you're missing the point. The transaction and the ability to convert a deal is always the problem. So have you heard of the 4 Ps of selling? It's different to the 7 Ps of marketing.
I was thinking that. It's not person, problem, process, promise.
Similar to that. Yeah. So it's price, person, products, and like process.
Yeah.
This is how I've kind of like bastardized the system. So like, when you try to sell something and you're like, oh, it's not converting because everyone's complaining about the price. So most of the time when I speak to founders that are getting started, they're like, no one can afford my services. I'm like, that's a crock of shit. Because like you can. It's just, if you fixate on price, you're really like cutting your Achilles heels. What's really happening when someone has a problem with your price is they're not sure you're the right person.
Not enough value proposition.
Potentially, but like think about us talking together, right?
Yeah.
Like by having met each other and spent an hour together, you've warmed up to my personality and we've become more in alignment. We're sharing more energy than at the start, right?
Yeah.
What is that? That's like, I vibe with this person.
Safety, familiarity.
Safety, familiarity, etc. Right? The second thing is like, okay, but like if you were to say to me, okay, well, what's your problem? So if we get into the roots of the problem in your business, there's a few things I've heard on this pod where I'm like,
hiring,
like hiring, spending money, So understanding your problem, I would push harder into that. So like now we're already vibing. Yeah. So then if I were in the sales situation with you, I would be like, tell me more about your problem. What's keeping you up at night? Why did you almost break up with your partner? Like, what are the difficulties with the finances? We're not talking about branding. I'm going right into your problem. Yeah. Right? What happens then? Right? What happens then is like, I vibe with this person and they're like, they're really understanding my problem. What happens when you really vibe with someone and they get your problem? You're like, how do I work with them? Like, they get it. We vibe out. They can hear me. They understand me. They get it. They just get it. Then we go into, okay, here's the product and the process. So this is the product, this is our process. And if you go, wow, this product is fantastic, the process totally makes sense, this person is a vibe, they clearly understand my problem, the decision on price diminishes dramatically because it's not about the price. It's like, I want to work with them, the product is fantastic, the process is fantastic, they understand the problem, fuck the price. Like, I need this other stuff. Yeah. And if you can make your problems go away, even if the price is ridiculous and painful, you'll pay the price.
Of course.
Because people want to get away from pain.
Yeah, yeah. And they trust because you spoke into their problems with a solution.
Exactly.
This rapid was very long.
I'm going off the rails here. Yeah.
That was amazing, Dain. Thank you so much for being on Say It With Your Chest.
Say it with your chest, guys. Yeah.
Remember a year from now, we're going to be celebrating those things.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more off
off camera.
Off camera.
Stay tuned, everyone. No, thank you so much for being here, legend.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
You. I remember the first time I spoke on stage. My heart was racing, palms sweaty, voice was shaking. I was terrified. Not because I didn't know what to say, but because deep down I was afraid of being seen. I was afraid of my own power. But here's the truth no one tells you. Speaking isn't about perfection. It's about connection. When you step onto stage, whether it's a room of 10 or 10,000 people aren't just listening to your word. They're feeling your energy. They're watching to see, does this person believe in what they're saying? Does this person believe in themselves? The power to command a room comes from owning your story, not performing a script. That's what amplifies your voice, and that's what creates impact. I spent years shrinking myself, dimming my light, thinking I had to sound like everyone else to be taken seriously. The moment I let go of the performance and I chose to lead with my truth, my voice changed, my business changed, my life changed, and that's what I want for you. Because when you learn to speak with authority, to lead with conviction, to show up as the fullest, boldest version of you, you don't just inform, you transform. Own your message and create the kind of presence that moves people into action, because your voice is your greatest asset. It's time to use it. So if you're ready to stop shrinking, if you're ready to step into the leader you were born to be, join me at Show Up and Speak Live. The mic is waiting, the world is waiting, and so am I.